What's up guys, it's Tommy here and welcome to the Liverpool Crystal Palace post-match analysis video. And I'm so furious, so mad that Liverpool are winless after 2 games in the Premier League. We are already 4 points behind Man City, and I know that we have clawed back a 14-point deficit from January until May, but still these are very costly draws, because with the Man City being our main opponent in the title race, you have to be almost perfect, and Liverpool were expected to win against Fulham and Crystal Palace, so to not win both games is an absolute disaster. And yes, there are mitigating circumstances, because Liverpool had 10 players out injured, and one of the main reasons I think was that Joe Gomez wasn't fit enough to start, or at least he had injury problems during the week. He only trained once, so Nat Phillips started, and Wilfried Zaha was licking his lips seeing Nat Phillips in the starting lineup. He was always on the shoulder of Nat Phillips, and he scored the opener when Liverpool dominated the first 30 minutes. We actually played so much better than against Fulham. That's what makes this so frustrating. We should have been 3-0 up when Wilfried Zaha races away, beating the offside trap and scoring past Alisson. It was a brilliant finish, but Crystal Palace didn't deserve anything out of this game, in my opinion. They played down the counter-attack, yes, but Liverpool created so many big chances. We missed 6 big chances in a row at the start of the season, and guess what? Liverpool have the most expected goals out of all the teams in the Premier League, but it's not good enough if you don't finish those chances off. And Darwin Nunez could have had the best Anfield debut, but it turned into an absolute nightmare. Let me know what is your opinion on the start Liverpool made for the season. Did Jurgen Klopp and the Liverpool coaches train the Liverpool players too hard? Because we look exhausted and knackered. But Darwin Nunez had 2 absolute sitters in the first half, 2 huge chances. The first, a brilliant Reynolds cross, which he blazes it over, but the second, on the stroke of half time, Darwin Nunez with a brilliant first touch takes the ball down, but then he scuffs his shot, but it still could have gone in. It hits the post and comes out. I couldn't believe the bad luck that Liverpool had in the first half. Of course, Paul Tierney, I think, who was the referee, didn't help. He gave just nothing in the way of Liverpool, and he let the Crystal Palace defenders get away with anything. And that was probably one of the main reasons why Darwin Nunez got so rattled, because the referee let the Crystal Palace centre-back use Darwin Nunez as a punching bag. And also, you have to take it as a striker. The Premier League defenders will try to upset you and get under your skin at any and every opportunity. And already when Anderson saw Darwin Nunez putting his head into his face even before the red card, I think Anderson saw an opportunity, and he was quite clever in that when Darwin Nunez was already frustrated with the referee, he provoked him by pushing him in the back. And then as Darwin Nunez turns, I don't think Darwin Nunez realizes that Anderson is so close to him. Anderson actually steps into his face, so any movement that Darwin Nunez makes with his head, it looks like a headbutt, and to be honest it was. And Anderson, of course, exaggerates the contact. Darwin Nunez gets a red card, but you can't do that in the Premier League. I'm sorry, Darwin Nunez will learn a lot from it, but he probably cost Liverpool the 3 points today. And also, Darwin Nunez will be suspended for a minimum of 3 games, so he misses the Man United game, but he could be missing 4 games if it is deemed extra violent conduct, so he could miss the Everton game as well. After Man United, I think we have Newcastle, Bournemouth, on paper winnable games, but Liverpool should have won the first 6 game weeks, and we are already on the back foot. Man City look like a relentless machine, and Liverpool look very short with the injury problems that we had. But Jurgen Klopp said it looked like during the week that there was a witch in the building, because every day different people with these freak injuries pulled up and pulled out of the game. Naby Keita didn't even come on in the second half, so it looks like he wasn't fit to start. The only good news, the only shining light for Liverpool is that this comes at a time during the season where we only have one game per week. The League Cup, the Champions League didn't start yet. So this is obviously, there is no great time to get 10 injuries, but this is the best time out of all the times during the season to get a lot of injuries, because you only have one game per week. We play next Monday against Man United, and that is now an absolutely huge game. Two of the biggest teams of English football going head to head, and both teams are yet to win in the Premier League this season, so it's an absolutely huge game, and I'm already looking forward to it. But Darwin Nunez will learn from it. I'm sure Jurgen Klopp and the players will speak to him. You can't react when defenders provoke you, because if you get sent off, then the defenders win. So how you need to play is be a handful, like players like Kevin Davis or Bobby Samora were back in the day. They weren't good players, not as good as Darwin Nunez. They weren't even like great players. They were good players, they weren't great players, they weren't world-class players. Yet it was always very difficult to play against them. So that's what Darwin Nunez needs to learn, that mentally, physically, emotionally, the Premier League is so much tougher, so much harder. You need to be so much more calm and in control of your emotions and of your reactions than in the Portuguese league. And I think Jurgen Klopp and Darwin Nunez will sit down and talk it out, and I'm sure Darwin Nunez will learn from it. But as I said, this Anfield debut turned from a great potential game to Darwin Nunez to an absolute nightmare. And what is really annoying is that the referee didn't even see the incident. He had his back to the incident. He turned around, he saw Anderson on the floor, and he just straight up red carded Darwin Nunez. I don't really have any complaints with the red card, but the referee was again atrocious today. Luis Diaz turned into an absolute animal, a monster after that red card, and it really galvanized the team. Because at the beginning of the second half, Liverpool didn't start as well as in the first. We still dominated, even against 10 men after like 55 minutes. We still dominated the game. But it looks like it took a red card to galvanize Jurgen Klopp, to galvanize the players, to galvanize the Anfield crowd, because everybody was on his feet after that, and everybody was so much more pumped up, so much more energy, so much more enthusiasm, passion, and Liverpool had suddenly again an urgency about their play. But Luis Diaz, it's such a shame that it's not a game winner, because that Luis Diaz goal deserves to be replayed over and over again during the season, because honestly, it's one of the best goals that you will ever see, one of the goals of the season already. Luis Diaz picks the ball up on the left side of Liverpool's attack. He cuts inside, beats like 4 or 5 defenders, and then he unleashes a rocket into the far corner. Absolutely no chance for Guaita, and from like 23-24 yards, Luis Diaz scored an absolute banger. And in the first half he was not as direct as I would like him to be. He most of the time turned his back to the goal, passed it backwards, but in the second half he really stepped up, took the game by the scruff of the neck, really drove at people, and really scored an absolute banger of a goal. It's just a shame that Liverpool didn't find a winner. Harvey Elliott was brilliant, but Fabinho was below par, I felt, especially in the first half. Harvey Elliott was really good. He had a chance in the first half where he dropped his shoulder, he sat down 2 Crystal Palace defenders. It's a shame that the third one blocks his shot, which was going in goal. But I think Liverpool are still short in midfield. I can't believe that in the second game in the title race, Liverpool had to start with Ned Phillips and James Milner in midfield. No offense to both players, but they should be just backup players. But we have Thiago, Curtis Jones, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Naby Keita out injured, and I think if Naby Keita was fit, he would have started alongside Fabinho and Harvey Elliott, and that midfield is definitely good enough to win a lot of games. James Milner had actually a chance in the first minute, which with a little bit more composure he could have scored. And Darwin Nunez, before his red card, he was actually really a handful to the Crystal Palace defenders. And I think if he stays on the pitch, we win the game. with 11 men, but you never know what would have happened. What is extremely frustrating is that Liverpool had more than enough chances to win this game, to even score 3 or 4 goals. We just missed most of those chances. Salah had big chances that he missed in the first half and in the second half, and it's so weird. This is, I think, Salah's 5th season at Liverpool, and he has never scored in the second game week of a Premier League season, which is really unusual because I think Salah has pretty much scored in every other game week. But I think Liverpool need to learn from this, and I think we still need to find, we need to sign a midfielder, because we look really short in that area. We have a lot of aging midfielders and a lot of very young midfielders, but we don't have those like entering their prime midfielders, except Naby Keita and Oxlade-Chamberlain, but they are both very injury prone. Other than that, Liverpool don't really have a reliable midfielder to call upon who can play week in, week out, and who can deliver. And also, Liverpool, I think, the big difference between Liverpool and Man City is that Man City are a lot more patient on the ball. They really probe and pass the ball until they have a brilliant opening. Liverpool sometimes rush their crosses. We had 17 shots in total, but only 4 on target. And that's really not good enough. I think Liverpool need to hit the target more often. We need to work the goalkeeper more often. We can't rush our shots because a lot of them either go wide or it is blocked. And Crystal Palace, on the other hand, had 3 shots on target from like 6 or 7 shots. Liverpool had a lot more, but we only hit the target once more than Crystal Palace, and that's totally really annoying. And to start the season like this is really deflating. It looks like the players are still knackered from that exhausting last season, so I'm not sure a really hard pre-season was ideal for the players to get ready for this season, because a lot of players look like they have their tank half empty or empty, and they don't look a team refreshed and really ready for the season. Hopefully Liverpool can get a lot of injured players back fit for the next game, because we need to beat Man United. If we don't beat Man United, it will be an absolute disaster and already a crisis when it comes to Liverpool's title hopes. Let me know, what did you think of the performance, of the result, of the Darwin Nunez red card, of the referees' antics? Leave your comments down below. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day. See you later. Goodbye.